Talk about this. We have Joe Concha, Fox News contributor, best-selling author. We also have Gregg Jarrett, Fox News legal analyst, and author of The Constitution of the U.S. and other patriotic documents. Gentlemen, welcome back. Gregg, Jarrett, I'll start with you. I mean, I think it's great that the adults from the appellate court came in, knocked down the bond. But I have to ask you, why do you have to post a bond in order to appeal? It seems un-American to me. Either you appeal or you don't appeal. Why do you have to have a ransom known as a bond?
Well, that's the way it is in other states, but New York is different. And frankly, it's typical of the very different things in New York. But, you know, your point is correct, Larry, that grown-ups have finally entered the room. I said on the air early this morning that I did still have confidence in the appellate court to do the right thing, and it did, knocking down this obscenely high appeal bond to a reasonable amount. And I think, Larry, this is a huge slap in the face of Arthur and Goron and Letitia James, who conspired to manufacture this ludicrous fraud case against Trump, where all the banks testify there was no fraud. You know, they exhumed this arcane consumer protection statute where no consumers were harmed, not a single dollar lost, no victims, and yet Goron awarded the astronomical damages in a case where there were no damages. So today's appellate ruling, I think, bodes poorly for Goron and James. It suggests to me the higher court will carefully scrutinize what it is they did, and I think Donald Trump has a decent chance of prevailing on the merits. So
let me get this right. The grown-ups beat down the juvenile delinquents, Gregg. That's a big win.
Yeah.
Just saying.
That's exactly it. Finally, some objectivity and restraint has been restored.
All right. Joe Concha, on this other point, I thought Mr. Trump was very clever today. Not only did he slam all these decisions and the juvenile delinquents, I mean, he was very respectful of the appellate court, but he's slamming the juvenile delinquents as he should. But he also made two cases that I think were politically significant. He reminded people, number one, that this legal warfare against him by Joe Biden is blowing up in Joe Biden's face. That's point number one. And point number two, he put some issues out. Let's talk about the blow up in Joe Biden's face. John McLaughlin's polling shows it's bad. Most polling shows it's simply not worked for Biden. What do you think?
Well, you just look at the numbers, Larry, right? And we're not just cherry picking one poll by McLaughlin. I'm looking at polls since October that show Donald Trump leading not only nationally, but in all 7 swing states: North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. And that's what the election comes down to. And if Trump wins 4 of those 7 states, then he is the next president, and he's leading in all 7. So, yeah, people are seeing this for exactly what it is. And not just Letitia James, but Alvin Bragg. That case appears to be going nowhere. And then Fani Willis didn't stand by her man, as you've talked about. And that case is a laughing stock at this point. So, but here's the big picture consequence of all of this outside of Trump. I mean, did you know that nearly 160 Wall Street firms have moved their headquarters out of New York in the past 5 years? They've taken $1 trillion in assets with them. So when they see Alvin Bragg and Letitia James pursuing these endeavors, and then they look over and they see, oh, look at that. Attacks on New York City Transit are up more than 50% in the last year. Subway murders are surging. These are the real problems that the Attorney General and Manhattan's District Attorney should be focused on, and not the weaponization of the justice system. But that appears to be their orders right now, but it is backfiring bigly, to use a Trump term, on them right now.
Well, I wouldn't say the juvenile delinquents have done a very good job on crime, law and order, the local economy. What was your point the other day? All these firemen have left. I believe a lot of policemen have retired, way before their retirement kicks in. I mean, that's unbelievable. The uniformed services are walking away, Joe Concha. I mean, what does that tell you?
2,500 New York City police officers have left the New York City Police Department because they don't feel appreciated, obviously, because they keep arresting people and keep seeing them back on the street because of people like Alvin Bragg. And some are even retiring before they get their pension. That takes 20 years of service, I think. And they're even saying, sorry, I'm out of here. And they're going to places, not totally retiring. They're just working now in places like Florida where they're being incentivized to come and where they actually feel appreciated because maybe they have some attorney generals and district attorneys down there that are actually enforcing the law.
Gregg Jarrett, this other case, this Alvin Bragg case, which was turned down by the Justice Department, down by the Federal Election Commission, turned by the former New York County District Attorney Cy Vance. I mean, this is even Andy McCarthy. I say even Andy McCarthy. He's a great friend of mine, but he's no advocate for Donald Trump. But Andrew McCarthy's been saying this is a nonsense case. This Bragg case, it's just phony baloney.
Yeah, Andy's right. I mean, Bragg still hasn't identified the underlying crime that Trump supposedly committed. It cannot be campaign finance. That's federal, and this is a state prosecutor, so he's got no authority. Bragg is playing hide the crime. But regardless, the payment to Stormy Daniels was not an illegal campaign donation, Larry. As you point out, according to the FEC, they investigated and said, hey, no crime here. The feds stepped in. They investigated. No crime here. Mainly because, Larry, payments in exchange for silence and an NDA are not criminal at all. They're quite common. Corporations do it every day. But the biggest charade of all is that Bragg's star witness against Trump is Michael Cohen, a notorious liar who told so many whoppers he was convicted of perjury and sent off to the Hooskow. Now, it's true that Cohen voluntarily pled out to a campaign finance charge, but what he did was he pled guilty to a non-crime just to curry favor with prosecutors and shave time off his sentence. So Bragg is essentially taking a misdemeanor case and he's bootstrapping it to a mystery felony federal charge that doesn't actually exist.
Well, this guy Cohen is a bottomless Pinocchio, to use the Washington Post. I thought Joe Biden was the only one because he keeps telling us that he cut the budget deficit. That's a bottomless Pinocchio. But Cohen is a bottomless Pinocchio to the third or fourth power. And the other thing is, John Edwards, former Senator John Edwards, former President Bill Clinton, I mean, they had, shall we say, personal issues. And they did, shall we say, take care of them with a certain degree of remuneration, but none of them got busted, thrown into jail for federal offenses and federal crimes, did they? I mean, I'm of a certain age that remembers all of these things.
Now, prosecutors tried to pull the same shenanigans against John Edwards, campaign finance, and, they got eviscerated at trial. You would think they would learn from their own mistakes, but apparently Alvin Bragg is oblivious to that. And he has decided by hook or by crook, I'm going to use lawfare to go after Trump to prop up Joe Biden. And Americans are smarter than that. They see this for what it is, as Joe pointed out. I mean,
Joe Concha, as this thing proceeds, right? I mean, first of all, Trump's got to pay this bond in 10 days. That whole phony trial is going to keep going on. The Alvin Bragg thing is probably going to keep going on. Fannie Willis seems to have a big problem in Georgia. We'll play, hopefully the producers can get Stand By Your Man before this segment is over, because my favorite song with Fannie Willis, who kicked her man under the bus. But, Joe, at the end of the day, as you look at all this stuff, Joe Biden helped or hurt by this whole legal warfare, throw Trump in jail kind of thing? Helped or hurt, Joe Concha?
The answer is both. It helps him in the sense where what is the news cycle dominated by today? It is dominated by Donald Trump and obviously this judgment being reduced by nearly $300 million. And, the Alvin Bragg case was supposed to start today, and that's been delayed till mid-April. In other words, the conversation is solely about Trump and legal problems and not about the issues that Joe Biden has failed on as far as inflation and crime and the border and immigration and foreign policy and education, energy, trade. We're not not talking about those things. So it helps him in that regard, but it hurts him because obviously this is something that is providing 1.21 gigawatts of petroleum for Donald Trump's campaign, because he looks like he is a victim here.
Yes.
And then they see, like the Bragg case, for example, a federal judge called Michael Cohen, to quote him, a serial perjurer, which may explain why he goes on CNN and MSNBC so much. So that's the thing here. They see these clowns like Fani Willis or Michael Cohen or Alvin Bragg, and no one's taking this seriously. No one.
I think every time one of these cases comes up now, it helps Trump. And I think every time one of the issues comes up, it helps Trump. I think Biden and his crowd have dug themselves into a real bad legal political hole, and one of the many misjudgment of that administration. Anyway, gentlemen, thank you, Gregg Jarrett and Joe Concha. We appreciate it very, very much.